It's Pooh Shiesty. I'm here with Double XL, Big Brother.
New on the night, Team Ann on just one station. Surveillance video offering a new view of the moment gunshots rang out in a South Florida neighborhood.
And it involves a recording artist, Pooh Shiesty.
Montrell Williams, also known as rapper Pooh Shiesty, will remain in jail for now.
Picture this, gang. You sitting in a federal prison cell. Can't go nowhere. Can't drive nothing. But you're so loaded with cash that you decide to buy 2 Ferraris just because you bored. That's exactly what Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty did while locked up behind bars. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this cat's insane money story from prison. We talking about a young shorty who went from the projects to millionaire status before he could legally drink. This dude was dropping 100 stacks on grills, copping Lamborghinis like they regular whips, and buying his mama a whole mansion. All before age 21, no cap. But here's the crazy part, homie. While most rappers go broke when they get locked up, Pooh Shiesty was making power moves from behind bars that'll blow your mind. From strategic investments to real estate plays his pops orchestrated, from streaming revenue that never stopped flowing to prison jobs that kept him connected. This young cat built a financial empire that didn't just survive incarceration, it thrived during it. So if you want to find out exactly how Pooh Shiesty stacked up $10 million while sitting in a federal prison, how he stayed rich while locked up, and why buying those Ferraris from prison was the ultimate flex that had the whole industry talking, then you better stick around until the end of this video. Trust me, shorty, this story's about to have you shook. What's good, fam? Today, we breaking down the wild story of how Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty turned a federal prison bid into a multi-million-dollar come-up. We talking about a dude who was buying Ferraris from prison just because he was bored, maintaining his wealth through strategic moves, and proving that real hustlers find a way no matter where they at. So buckle up, gang, because this story is absolutely insane. Before we get into how Pooh Shiesty made millions from behind bars, we got to understand where this young cat came from and what's in his DNA, for real. Pooh Shiesty, real name Montrell Williams Jr., came straight out of South Memphis, specifically the Cane Creek projects. Now, if you know anything about Memphis, you know that ain't no joke, homie. We talking about one of the most dangerous cities in America with over 100 different gangs operating in the area. This young cat was born into a world where violence was just part of daily life. But here's where the story gets wild, fam. Pooh Shiesty's pops, who went by Mob Boss, was already in the game, both the street game and the music game. His father ran a record label called Mob Ties Records, so music was literally in Pooh Shiesty's DNA. But it wasn't all studio sessions and beats, no cap. His father was catching cases left and right, including being linked to some serious charges back in 2004 when Pooh Shiesty was just a kid. The hustler mentality runs in his genes, gang. Growing up, Pooh Shiesty was exposed to both sides of the hustle. He'd be in the studio with his pops as a young shorty, watching the music business unfold. But he was also seeing the street life up close and personal. By age 11, this kid was already catching his first case. By 14, he was back in the system. The streets were calling and Pooh Shiesty was answering. His pops, Mob Boss, taught him early that a real hustler don't just have one income stream. You diversify, you invest, you think long term. That lesson would become crucial later when Pooh Shiesty found himself facing federal time. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about how this young cat first got rich. Here's where the story gets absolutely wild, gang. Picture this. Pooh Shiesty is grinding in Memphis, building buzz with tracks like Hell Night featuring Big 30. The video was racking up millions of views and putting Memphis on notice that a new king was rising. He was still independent at this point, just a young cat with raw talent and street credibility. And then out of nowhere, his phone rings. It's Gucci Mane. The trap legend himself had been watching, and Pooh Shiesty's track, Main Slime, caught his attention heavy. According to reports, Gucci reached out to Pooh Shiesty on Instagram, sliding into his DMs like he was just another fan. But this wasn't no regular DM, this was a life-changing opportunity. Within a couple of months of that initial contact, Pooh Shiesty was signed to 1017 Records. Just like that, this young cat from the projects went from local Memphis buzz to being backed by one of the biggest names in trap music. The signing to 1017 was Pooh Shiesty's first major payday. While the exact numbers haven't been made public, industry insiders know how these deals work. When a major label or established artist signs a hot new talent, they typically offer a substantial upfront signing bonus to secure the artist and show they're serious about the investment. This bonus covers the artist's immediate needs and gives them financial security while they work on their debut project. For an artist with Pooh Shiesty's buzz and the backing of someone like Gucci Mane, we talking about a deal that instantly put him in millionaire status from day one. But that signing bonus was just the foundation, homie. The deal also included album advances. That's money the label gives you up front to record your project, which you get to keep even before the album drops. Then there's marketing budgets that get allocated, performance guarantees, and other financial incentives built into these contracts. When you add up all these components, Pooh Shiesty walked away from that 2017 deal with serious bread in his pocket. But that was just the beginning, homie. That Gucci Mane cosign opened doors that most young rappers only dream about. Suddenly, Pooh Shiesty had access to top-tier producers, major label distribution, and the kind of industry connections that turn local artists into national stars. Now, if you thought the Gucci signing was big, wait until you hear about what happened next, fam. In November 2020, Pooh Shiesty linked up with Lil Durk for a track called Back in Blood. The story behind this collaboration is crazy. Pooh Shiesty was at Savage Ink recording studio in Atlanta, laid down his verse, then ran it over to Durk in another room. Durk heard it and dropped his verse in just 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes to create what would become one of the biggest hip-hop songs of 2021. Back in Blood became an absolute monster, climbing all the way to number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hitting number 6 on the hip-hop charts. We talking hundreds of millions of streams. Let me break down how streaming money works, gang, because this is where Pooh Shiesty really started building wealth. Every time someone plays your song on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or any other platform, you get paid. It's called streaming royalties. Now, the rate varies by platform, but on average, artists make somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000 for every million streams. That might not sound like much, but when your song is getting played hundreds of millions of times, that money adds up crazy fast. Back in Blood on Spotify alone racked up over 200 million streams. Do the math on that, homie. We talking about serious money just from one platform. Then you got YouTube, where the music video hit over 100 million views. Apple Music, Tidal, Amazon Music, and all the other streaming services are generating revenue too. And here's the beautiful part. This money keeps coming in every single day, every single month, every single year. As long as people keep playing the song, Pooh Shiesty keeps getting paid. That's passive income at its finest, gang. But streaming wasn't the only way. Back in Blood made Pooh Shiesty rich, fam. Once that song blew up, his performance value skyrocketed. Before Back in Blood, Pooh Shiesty might have been getting booked for local shows at a few $1,000s a pop. After the song hit the charts, promoters were paying him 6 figures just to show up and perform. We talking about $100,000 to $200,000 per show, and he was doing multiple shows every single week. Think about that for a second, homie. If you're doing 3 shows a week at $150,000 each, that's $450,000 in 1 week. Do that for a month, and you looking at close to $2 million just from performances. And Pooh Shiesty was on that type of timing for months before his legal troubles caught up with him. The show money was flowing like water, gang. Then you got the feature money. After Back in Blood proved Pooh Shiesty could make hits, every artist in the game wanted him on their tracks, and Pooh Shiesty wasn't giving out features for free, homie. When you hot like that, you can charge premium prices. Artists were paying him anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 just to hop on a 16-bar verse. He did features with Lil Baby, Big 30, Moneybagg Yo, and a whole bunch of other artists. Each one of those features was putting tens of thousands of dollars directly in his pocket. On February 5th, 2021, Pooh Shiesty dropped his debut mixtape, Shiesty Season. This project was a commercial smash, debuting at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and moving over 60,000 copies first week. The mixtape featured collaborations with Gucci Mane, Lil Durk, and other heavy hitters. Tracks like Monday to Sunday with Lil Baby and Big 30 racked up over 50 million views on YouTube alone. When you drop a project that debuts in the top 3 on the Billboard charts, you're making serious money from multiple angles, fam. First, you got the actual album sales, people buying the project on iTunes, Amazon, and other platforms. Then you got the streaming revenue from every single track on the mixtape. Shiesty Season had multiple songs that became hits in their own right, and each one was generating its own streaming income. But the real money from a successful mixtape comes from what it does for your overall brand and career, gang. A top 3 debut means you now a legitimate star in the industry. Your booking fee goes up even more. Your feature price increases. Brands start reaching out for endorsement deals. You can negotiate better terms on your next contract. The mixtape success creates a ripple effect that touches every aspect of your money-making potential. Plus, Pooh Shiesty had merchandise tied to the Shiesty season release. Through his partnership with 1017 Records, fans could buy hoodies, t-shirts, face masks, hats, and all kinds of gear. Merchandise is one of the most profitable parts of the music business because the profit margins are so high. You might spend $15 to make a hoodie, sell it for $50, and keep most of that $35 profit after the label takes their cut. When you moving thousands of units of merchandise, you talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in pure profit. At this point, gang, Pooh Shiesty was living like a king. He was dropping 100 stacks on jewelry from Johnny Dang, copping a Lamborghini Urus that starts at $200,000, getting gifted a slime green Jeep Trackhawk from Gucci, and renting McLarens like they were regular whips. He bought his mama a whole mansion, showing that he never forgot where he came from. He was living the dream that every kid from the hood fantasizes about. By early 2021, before his legal troubles really kicked in, Pooh Shiesty had already accumulated millions of dollars in liquid assets. Between the signing bonus, the streaming revenue, the performance money, the feature income, and the merchandise sales, this young cat had built up a serious financial cushion. And that cushion was about to become crucial, because his life was about to take a dramatic turn. Now we got to talk about what brought Pooh Shiesty's run to a halt, fam. Because understanding his legal situation is crucial to understanding how he still made millions while locked up. This is the case that would eventually send Pooh Shiesty to federal prison. According to police reports and court documents, Pooh Shiesty and two of his associates drove to Bay Harbor Islands in a greenish-yellow McLaren to make a transaction for some sneakers and weed. In surveillance video of the incident, you can see the rapper pulling into a parking lot. The seller pulls in behind him in a Mercedes and gets out. After a few seconds, Pooh Shiesty's two associates can be seen pulling out firearms, a Draco and another handgun, and shooting at the seller. The seller was hit but survived the attack. Pooh Shiesty and his associates fled the scene but left behind a duffel bag with over $30,000 cash in it. This would become crucial evidence, gang, because the police used that money to connect Pooh Shiesty to the crime. Police indicted the rapper and his two associates on some serious federal charges: discharging a firearm during a violent crime, conspiracy, and robbery under a law regulating commerce. Now, when the feds get involved, you know it's serious, homie. Federal cases have a conviction rate of over 90%. Once the feds indict you, they already got the evidence they need to put you away. And the evidence against Pooh Shiesty was strong. They used pictures he posted on social media as evidence. Apparently, one of the serial numbers on the money left at the scene matched money that appeared in a photo Pooh Shiesty posted on Instagram. That's how they connected him directly to the crime. This is why you gotta be careful what you post on social media when you moving like that in the streets. But that wasn't the only case, homie. On May 30th, 2020, Pooh Shiesty was at the King of Diamonds strip club in Miami, a popular hotspot for rappers. According to reports, $40,000 fell from the rapper's waistline. Just imagine that, gang. You got so much cash on you that 40 bands just falls out your pocket. That's the level of money Pooh Shiesty was moving with. Patrons rushed in for the money and successfully took it, which pissed Pooh Shiesty off. The rapper started acting out, which led to security forcefully removing him. While being removed from the club, Pooh Shiesty allegedly pulled a pistol and shot a security guard in the leg. He was arrested and his bond was set at $10,000. But because he was already out on bond for the other shooting, he was forced to sit in jail until his trial ended. When you catch a new case while you already out on bond, the judge ain't trying to let you back out on the streets, fam. The gas station incident, July 7th, 2020. There was also a charge for discharging a firearm out of a car at a gas station in an attempt to shoot at an op. This case didn't get as much attention, but it was part of the pattern that prosecutors used to paint Pooh Shiesty as a danger to the community. When you got multiple gun cases stacking up like that, the prosecution can argue that you a repeat offender who don't learn from your mistakes. That's exactly what they did with Pooh Shiesty. Initially, Pooh Shiesty was facing up to 20 years in federal prison. That's a lifetime for a young cat who was only 21 years old at the time. The prosecution was coming at him hard, trying to make an example out of him. They wanted to show other young rappers that you can't just do whatever you want in the streets and think your fame will protect you. But Pooh Shiesty had hired Bradford Cohen, one of the best criminal defense attorneys in the game. This is the same lawyer who represented Kodak Black and YNW Melly. When you hire a lawyer of this caliber, you're talking about someone who charges hundreds of dollars per hour and requires a substantial retainer just to take your case. These top-tier criminal defense attorneys can cost you anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 or more, depending on how complex the case is and how long it drags out. But the fact that Pooh Shiesty could afford this level of representation shows you just how much money he was sitting on, fam. Most people facing federal charges have to use a public defender because they can't afford a private attorney. Pooh Shiesty had the resources to hire the best, and that made a huge difference in his case. His lawyer tried to discredit the victims and poke holes in the prosecution's case, and it seemed to work to some degree. The judge granted Pooh Shiesty a bond of $30,000, which the rapper posted immediately. Once bail was made, Pooh Shiesty and his homies boarded a private jet and left the state. He was trying to get back to his normal life while fighting the case, but eventually, the case caught up with him. After months of legal battles, Pooh Shiesty and his legal team made a strategic decision. Instead of going to trial and risking that 20-year sentence, they decided to take a plea deal. In April 2022, Pooh Shiesty pleaded guilty to the charges, and he was sentenced to 63 months. That's 5 years and 3 months in federal prison. While that's still a significant amount of time, it was way less than the 20 years he was originally facing. His lawyer had done his job, getting the sentence reduced by about 75%. But now Pooh Shiesty had to face the reality of spending the next 5 years behind bars, right in the middle of what should have been the prime of his career. The rapper surrendered himself and began serving his time. Most people thought this was the end of Pooh Shiesty's career and his money. They figured he'd come home broke, forgotten, and irrelevant. But they were dead wrong, gang, because Pooh Shiesty and his team had a plan that would not only preserve his wealth, but actually grow it while he was locked up. Here's the thing that most people don't understand, fam. By the time Pooh Shiesty went to prison, he had already made a lot of money. We talking about millions in the bank, assets, investments, and most importantly, ongoing revenue streams that didn't stop just because he was locked up. Let me break this down for you, homie, because this is where the real game is. When Pooh Shiesty walked into that federal prison, he wasn't starting from zero. He had already stacked up serious wealth from the Gucci Mane signing, from Back in Blood, and all the streaming revenue it generated from doing shows every week at 6 figures a pop, from all those features he did with other artists, and from merchandise sales. All of that money was sitting in bank accounts, invested in various assets, and ready to work for him even while he couldn't work himself. This is the crucial difference between Pooh Shiesty and most people who go to prison, gang. Most people go in broke and come out even broker. But Pooh Shiesty went in rich, and he had the financial infrastructure in place to stay rich and even get richer during his bid. Unlike a regular job where you stop getting paid when you stop working, music streaming is passive income. Every time someone plays Back in Blood, Pooh Shiesty gets paid. Every time someone streams Monday to Sunday, he gets paid. Every time someone listens to Shiesty Season, he gets paid. And this money comes in automatically, deposited into his accounts, whether he's in the studio, on stage, or sitting in a prison cell. And here's the crazy part. His music actually got more popular while he was locked up, fam. There's something about an artist going to prison that makes fans appreciate their music more. It becomes more authentic, more real, more valuable. People start going back through the catalog, rediscovering songs they slept on, and streaming everything the artist ever put out. So while Pooh Shiesty was locked up from 2022 to 2025, his existing catalog was still generating millions of streams every single month. Back in Blood continued to be a staple in clubs, on playlists, and in people's regular rotation. The Shiesty Season mixtape kept getting played front to back. All his features on other artists' songs kept generating royalties, and every single one of those streams was putting money in Pooh Shiesty's pocket, homie. Over the course of 3 years in prison, the streaming revenue from his existing catalog added up to millions of dollars. And the beautiful thing about streaming revenue is that it's consistent and predictable. You can look at your monthly streaming numbers and project how much money you'll make over the next year, the next 5 years, even the next decade. That's the kind of financial stability that most people never achieve in their entire lives. Through his partnership with 1017 Records, Pooh Shiesty had a whole merchandise empire that kept running while he was locked up. Fans could still buy Shiesty Season hoodies, face masks, t-shirts, hats, and more. And because Pooh Shiesty was in prison, the merchandise actually became more valuable to fans. It was a way for them to show support for their favorite artist while he was going through a tough time. The profit margins on merchandise are insane, gang. Like I said earlier, you might spend $15 to produce a hoodie and sell it for $50. After the label and the distribution platform take their cuts, you still walking away with a substantial profit on every single item sold. When you got thousands of fans buying merchandise over the course of 3 years, that adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. Plus, Pooh Shiesty's music was getting licensed for use in various media. When a TV show, movie, commercial, or video game wants to use your song, they have to pay you a licensing fee. These fees can range from a few $1,000s for a small independent project to hundreds of thousands of dollars for a major commercial or film. Over 3 years, the licensing revenue from Pooh Shiesty's catalog added another stream of income that kept flowing into his accounts. Now here's where the story gets really interesting, fam. Remember how I told you Pooh Shiesty's pops, Mob Boss, was a hustler who understood the game? Well, while Pooh Shiesty was locked up, Mob Boss was out here making boss moves with his son's money. According to sources close to the family and industry insiders, Mob Boss took a significant portion of Pooh Shiesty's earnings and invested it in real estate. This wasn't no amateur hour type stuff, gang. We talking about strategic property investments that would generate passive income and appreciate in value over time. Real estate is one of the smartest investments you can make, homie, especially when you got a lot of cash sitting around. Instead of letting that money sit in a bank account earning minimal interest, Mob Boss put it to work by buying properties that would generate monthly rental income. Here's how it works, fam. Let's say you buy a house for $200,000, you rent it out for $1,500 a month. After you pay the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs, you might clear $500 to $1,000 in profit every single month. That's passive income, money coming in without you having to actively work for it. Now multiply that by multiple properties. If Mob Boss bought 5 or 6 rental properties in Memphis and the surrounding areas, each one generating $500 to $1,000 a month in profit, that's $2,500 to $6,000 in monthly passive income. Over the course of 3 years, that adds up to serious money. We talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in rental income alone. But the rental income is just one part of the equation, gang. The real wealth in real estate comes from appreciation. Property values tend to go up over time, especially in growing markets. Memphis has seen significant real estate appreciation in recent years as more people move to the area and the city continues to develop. So properties that Mob Boss might have bought for $200,000 in 2021 or 2022 could be worth $250,000 or even $300,000 by 2025. That's $50,000 to $100,000 in equity gain per property just from holding on to it for a few years. Multiply that by multiple properties and you're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in paper gains that can be realized when the properties are sold or refinanced. Mob Boss also reportedly invested in commercial real estate, which generates even higher returns than residential properties. Commercial properties like retail spaces, office buildings, or mixed-use developments typically have longer lease terms and higher rental rates. A commercial property might generate $3,000 to $5,000 a month in rental income compared to $1,500 for a residential property. The beauty of this real estate strategy is that it created a completely separate income stream for Pooh Shiesty that had nothing to do with his music career. Fam. Even if his music stopped generating revenue tomorrow, he'd still have money coming in from his real estate investments. That's the kind of financial diversification that separates the wealthy from the broke. But Mob Boss didn't stop at real estate, gang. He also made sure a portion of Pooh Shiesty's money was invested in the stock market. Now, I know what you're thinking. The stock market is risky. It goes up and down. You can lose money. And you're right, there is risk involved. But when you invest smart and think long-term, the stock market has historically been one of the best ways to grow wealth. The key is diversification and patience, homie. Instead of putting all your money in 1 or 2 individual stocks that could crash, you invest in index funds and blue-chip stocks that represent the overall market. Over the long term, we talking 5, 10, 20 years, the stock market has averaged about a 10% annual return. So if Mob Boss invested, let's say, $500,000 to $1 million of Pooh Shiesty's money in a diversified portfolio of index funds and stable stocks, that money would have grown significantly over the 3 years Pooh Shiesty was locked up. Even with market fluctuations, a well-managed investment portfolio could have generated returns of anywhere from 10 to 30% over that time period, adding hundreds of thousands of dollars to Pooh Shiesty's net worth. The beautiful thing about stock market investments is that they're liquid, meaning you can sell them and access the cash relatively quickly if you need to. But if you don't need the money immediately, you can let it sit and continue to grow, compounding over time. That's how generational wealth is built, fam. Mob Boss also ran Mob Ties Records and other business entities, and Pooh Shiesty's money was invested in these ventures. Having ownership stakes in businesses creates another income stream and builds long-term value. If Mob Ties Records signs other artists who become successful, Pooh Shiesty benefits from that success as an investor in the label. Business investments are riskier than real estate or stocks, but they also have the potential for much higher returns. If one of the artists on Mob Ties Records blows up and becomes the next big thing, the value of Pooh Shiesty's stake in the label could increase exponentially. Even if the returns are modest, having a piece of the family business ensures that Pooh Shiesty has a financial interest in something beyond just his own music career. This is the type of financial planning that separates the real ones from the fake ones, gang. While other rappers blow all their money on jewelry and cars that depreciate in value, Pooh Shiesty's family was building generational wealth through smart investments in real estate, stocks, and businesses. This is the game that Mob Boss learned from the streets and passed down to his son. Always have multiple income streams, always invest for the future, and always think long-term. Now, I know what you thinking, fam. Prison jobs don't pay nothing. How that contribute to 10 million? And you're right, prison jobs pay pennies. But it's not about the money from the job itself. It's about the positioning and the connections. In his interview on $1 Million Worth of Game, Pooh Shiesty talked about working at the recreation department in prison. He was the dude who handed out basketballs, managed the gym equipment, and basically controlled access to the rec area. Prison jobs typically pay somewhere between 19 cents to 42 cents per hour, depending on the facility and the job. If you're working full-time, which in prison might be 20 to 30 hours a week, you might make $30 to $70 a month. Over the course of 3 years, that adds up to maybe $1,000 to $2,500 total. In the grand scheme of Pooh Shiesty's wealth, that's basically nothing, homie. But the real value of that prison job wasn't the paycheck, gang. It was everything else that came with it. First, working in the rec department meant Pooh Shiesty saw everybody. The rec area is where inmates go to work out, play basketball, socialize, and escape the monotony of their cells. By controlling access to that space, Pooh Shiesty was in a position of influence. He could network with other inmates, build relationships, and maintain his status and respect within the prison population. Second, having control over rec equipment meant leverage. In prison, everything has value. Even something as simple as a basketball or access to the weight pile. Being able to do favors for people, letting someone use equipment when they normally couldn't, giving someone extra time in the gym, hooking someone up with better equipment, builds social capital. And social capital in prison can be just as valuable as money on the outside. Third, the job kept Pooh Shiesty connected to his passion. He loved basketball growing up and had hoop dreams before he got serious about music. Being able to stay active, play ball, and be around the sport he loved helped him maintain his mental and physical health during the bid. That's priceless. Fourth, working in rec meant Pooh Shiesty was building connections with people from all walks of life. Federal prison houses, everyone from street dudes to white-collar criminals to organized crime figures. Some of these people have connections and resources on the outside that could be valuable when Pooh Shiesty got released. Building those relationships while locked up is an investment in future opportunities. And finally, having a job and staying busy kept Pooh Shiesty out of trouble. When you idle in prison, that's when you get caught up in drama, beef, and situations that can extend your sentence or put you in danger. By staying focused on his job, his music, and his plan for when he got out, Pooh Shiesty avoided the pitfalls that trap a lot of inmates. So yeah, the actual money from the prison job was nothing, gang, but the intangible benefits were huge. Staying mentally sharp, maintaining respect, building connections, staying healthy, and avoiding trouble. These things are priceless when you're trying to come home and restart your career. Here's another income stream people don't talk about enough, fam. Pooh Shiesty didn't just sit in prison doing nothing musically. He recorded Federal Contraband and Federal Contraband 2 on the jail phone. Now, recording music on a jail phone ain't easy, homie. The sound quality is terrible. You got limited time on the phone and you got to be creative with how you lay down your verses. But Pooh Shiesty made it work. He'd call into a studio on the outside, spit his verses over the phone, and his team would record it and mix it into a finished track. These prison recordings served multiple purposes, gang. First, they kept Pooh Shiesty's name in the streets. Fans were amazed that he was still dropping music from behind bars, and it showed that his hustle never stopped. Second, they generated streaming revenue. Every time someone played Federal Contraband, Pooh Shiesty was making money. And third, they maintained his relevance in the rap game. In hip-hop, if you disappear for too long, people forget about you. By continuing to release music, Pooh Shiesty made sure he stayed in the conversation. The streaming numbers on the Federal Contraband series weren't as massive as Back in Blood, but they were still significant. We talking about millions of streams across all platforms, which translated to tens of thousands of dollars in revenue. It ain't huge money compared to his other streams, but it shows the hustle mentality. Even from behind bars, Pooh Shiesty was finding ways to generate income and stay connected to his craft. Now we got to talk about the most legendary move Pooh Shiesty made from prison, gang. This is the story that had the whole industry talking and proved just how much money this young cat really had. While locked up, Pooh Shiesty got so bored that he decided to buy 2 Ferraris. Not 1, 2, from prison. Cars he couldn't even drive. Think about how insane that is for a second, homie. This dude is sitting in a federal prison, can't go nowhere, can't do nothing, but he's so rich and so bored that he just decides to drop hundreds of thousands of dollars on Ferraris. Ferraris are some of the most expensive and exclusive cars in the world, fam. The entry-level models start at around $200,000, but high-performance models can easily cost $400,000, $500,000, or even more. These ain't just cars, they're status symbols, works of art, investments in some cases. According to reports, Pooh Shiesty bought these cars as a flex on his Instagram model girlfriend's new man. Apparently, Shorty had moved on while he was locked up, and Pooh Shiesty wanted to show both her and her new dude that his money was still long. He was basically saying, yeah, I'm locked up, but I'm still richer than y'all will ever be. I can buy 2 Ferraris from prison just because I'm bored. What you doing? This move shows you just how much money Pooh Shiesty was sitting on, fam. Most people would be worried about legal fees, commissary money, and saving for when they get out. But this cat was so financially secure that he could drop potentially $500,000 or more on cars he couldn't even drive just to prove a point. That's not just rich, gang. That's wealthy. There's a difference. Rich is having a lot of money. Wealthy is having so much money that you can make extravagant purchases without even thinking about it, without it affecting your lifestyle or your financial security. The Ferrari purchase also served a strategic purpose, homie. It kept Pooh Shiesty's name in the headlines. People were talking about it on social media, blogs were writing articles about it, and it reinforced his image as someone who's successful and unbothered. In the rap game, perception is reality. If people think you rich and winning, you are rich and winning. Pooh Shiesty understood that, and he used the Ferrari purchase to maintain his brand even while locked up. All right, fam, now let's bring it all together and see how Pooh Shiesty really made $10 million while in federal prison. I'm going to walk you through every income stream and show you exactly how the numbers work. When Pooh Shiesty walked into that federal prison, he wasn't broke, gang. He had already accumulated serious wealth from his music career. The Gucci Mane signing had given him a substantial upfront bonus that put him in millionaire status immediately. Then, Back in Blood and his other early hits generated millions in streaming revenue. He was doing shows every week at 6 figures a pop, pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly from performances. He was charging premium prices for features, adding hundreds of thousands more to his bank account, and merchandise sales were bringing in even more revenue. When you add all of that up, Pooh Shiesty went into prison with several $1 million already in the bank. Some estimates put it as high as $5 to $9 million in liquid assets and investments. That's the foundation everything else was built on, homie. Now let's talk about the money that came in while Pooh Shiesty was locked up from 2022 to 2025. The biggest income stream was streaming revenue. His existing catalog, Back in Blood, Shiesty Season, all his features, everything, continued to generate millions of streams every single month. Over 3 years, that added up to millions of dollars in passive income. This money was deposited automatically into his accounts, whether he was in a cell or not. Then you got the real estate investments that Mob Boss orchestrated. Multiple rental properties generating monthly income, commercial properties bringing in even higher returns, and property appreciation adding to his net worth. Over 3 years, the real estate portfolio generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in rental income and potentially hundreds of thousands more in paper gains from appreciation. The stock market investments also grew significantly during this time. Even with market fluctuations, a well-diversified portfolio would have generated solid returns over 3 years, adding hundreds of thousands of dollars to Pooh Shiesty's wealth. Business ventures through Mob Ties Records and other entities provided another income stream, bringing in additional revenue over the course of the prison bid. Merchandise sales continued throughout his incarceration, with fans buying Shiesty season gear to show support. The profit margins on merchandise are high, so this added hundreds of thousands of dollars to his accounts. The federal contraband recordings he made from prison generated their own streaming revenue, adding tens of thousands of dollars more, and licensing deals for his music being used in various media brought in additional income. When you add up all these income streams over 3 years, you're talking about several $1 million generated while Pooh Shiesty was locked up. Combined with the wealth he already had when he went in, his total net worth was easily in the range of $10 million or more. Now, we gotta be real about the expenses too, fam, because Pooh Shiesty wasn't just stacking money, he was also spending it. The legal fees for Bradford Cohen and his legal team were substantial. Top-tier criminal defense attorneys charge hundreds of dollars per hour and require large retainers. Over the course of the case, Pooh Shiesty likely spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on legal representation. Then there's the Ferrari purchase. 2 Ferraris that probably cost somewhere between $400,000 to $1 million total. That's a huge expense, even for someone as wealthy as Pooh Shiesty. He was also taking care of his family while locked up, making sure his mom was straight, supporting his people, handling their needs. That adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars over 3 years. Commissary and prison expenses like phone calls, food, and other necessities cost money too, though this is relatively small compared to his other expenses. And there were business operating costs for maintaining the real estate properties, running Mob Ties records, and keeping his other ventures going. When you add up all these expenses, you're talking about potentially $1 to $2 million spent during his incarceration. But even after all those expenses, including buying 2 Ferraris from prison, Pooh Shiesty still came out with a net worth in the range of $7 to $13 million. The $10 million figure is actually conservative, gang. The real number could be even higher when you factor in assets we don't know about, private investments, and the appreciation of his music catalog. That's the power of multiple income streams and smart financial planning, homie. While most people go to prison and come out broke, Pooh Shiesty went in rich and came out even richer. In October 2025, Pooh Shiesty was released early after serving only 3 years of his 5-year sentence. That's right, homie. He got out 2 years early for good behavior and other factors. When he walked out of that prison, the first thing he did was hit the jeweler and drop $100,000 on a new chain. This move showed the world that his time in prison hadn't hurt his pockets at all. If anything, he came home richer than when he went in. His homie Big 30 was there to celebrate his release with a huge bankroll, showing that the Chopper Gang money was still flowing. Even after 3 years away from the game, Pooh Shiesty's wealth was intact and ready for the next chapter. Within the first 60 days of being home, Pooh Shiesty was spotted with a whole fleet of luxury vehicles. He had a Maybach, which is one of the most expensive and luxurious sedans you can buy. He had the Ferraris he bought from prison, now finally able to drive them. He had a McLaren with custom rose gold accents. He even had a Cybertruck, showing he was staying current with the latest automotive trends. And the jewelry, gang, Pooh Shiesty was iced out with custom chains, watches, and other pieces worth well over $100,000. This wasn't just flexing for the sake of flexing. This was a statement. Pooh Shiesty was showing the world that prison didn't break him, it made him stronger. But the real wealth Pooh Shiesty gained in prison wasn't financial, fam, it was mental. In his interview on $1 Million Worth of Game, you can see the difference in him. He's more focused, more mature, more strategic. He talks about how he's done with the internet beef, done with the distractions, done with anything that doesn't move him forward. He said he's more assertive now with his music. If a verse ain't hitting, he'll tell the artist straight up, "That's garbage, bro, we got to try again." That's the confidence of someone who's been through the fire and came out refined. The old heads in prison sprinkled game on him, homie. They told him he was too talented to be locked up. They showed him how to move smarter, how to think long-term, how to build something that lasts. Pooh Shiesty listened and absorbed all that wisdom. First, diversify your income. Don't rely on just music. Invest in real estate, stocks, businesses. Build multiple revenue streams so that if one dries up, you still got money coming in. Second, family first. Take care of your people. Let them help you when you down. Build generational wealth, not just personal wealth. Mob Boss showed Pooh Shiesty the value of having family you can trust to handle business when you can't. Third, stay focused. Ignore the distractions. Don't engage in internet beef. Protect your peace and your freedom. Pooh Shiesty realized that a lot of the drama and beef that seems important in the moment is really just noise that can derail your whole life. Fourth, quality over quantity. Make better music, not just more music. Be selective with features and collaborations. Build a legacy, not just a moment. Pooh Shiesty understands now that every move he makes needs to be strategic and purposeful. Now that Pooh Shiesty is home, the music industry is watching closely, gang. He's already teased new projects, including one called FDO and another called That Boy Boy. He's been in the studio working with top producers and reconnecting with artists like Gucci Mane, Lil Durk, and others. The buzz around his return is real, homie. Fans have been waiting 3 years for new music and they ready to support. The beautiful thing about Pooh Shiesty's position is that he's coming back with a story to tell. He's got 3 years of experiences, lessons, and emotions to pour into his music. That authenticity is what connects with fans and creates hits. Plus, he's coming back with financial security. He don't have to rush and put out trash just to make money. He can take his time, perfect his craft, and release music when it's ready. That's a luxury most artists don't have, fam. Now that Pooh Shiesty is home and ready to work, his earning potential is even higher than before. A new album could sell over 100,000 units in the first week and generate millions in streaming revenue over the first year. A comeback tour could bring in millions of dollars, with Pooh Shiesty now able to command even higher booking fees because of the story and the buzz around his return. Features will be in high demand, with artists willing to pay premium prices to get Pooh Shiesty on their tracks. Merchandise sales will explode as fans want to celebrate his comeback, and brands will be interested in endorsement deals because comeback stories sell. If Pooh Shiesty plays his cards right, he could make more money in his first year home than he made during his entire prison bid, gang. The foundation is already there: the wealth, the fan base, the industry connections. Now it's just about executing the plan and taking over the game. Pooh Shiesty's story is about more than just money, fam. It's about resilience, strategy, and the power of preparation. Most rappers wait until they're in trouble to start thinking about their finances. Pooh Shiesty was different. He built his wealth before he went to prison, which meant he had resources to sustain him during the bid. If you're in the streets, in the music game, or in any high-risk situation, you need to be building your wealth now. Don't wait until you're locked up or your career is over. Stack your money, invest it wisely, and create passive income streams that work even when you can't. Pooh Shiesty didn't do this alone. His pops, mob boss, was out here making moves, investing money, buying real estate, and managing the business. His team at 1017 Records kept his music promoted and his brand alive. You need people you can trust to hold it down when you can't. That's not just about loyalty, it's about competence. You need people who know how to handle money, make investments, and think strategically. Pooh Shiesty had money coming from streaming, real estate, investments, merchandise, business ventures, and more. If one stream dried up, he had 5 others still flowing. That's how you build sustainable wealth, homie. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Whether you're a rapper, an entrepreneur, or working a regular job, find ways to create multiple income streams. That's what protects you when life throws you curveballs. Lesson 4. Mental strength is everything. Prison breaks a lot of people, fam. But Pooh Shiesty used it as a time to grow, learn, and refocus. He came home sharper, more focused, and more dangerous, in a good way, than when he went in. Whatever challenges you're facing, use them as opportunities to level up mentally. Read books, listen to game from OGs, work on yourself. When you come out the other side, you'll be unstoppable. Lesson 5. The flex is strategic. Buying those 2 Ferraris from prison wasn't just about showing off, gang. It was a strategic flex. It kept Pooh Shiesty's name in the conversation. It showed his ops and his exes that he was still winning. It maintained his brand as someone who's rich and unbothered. Sometimes spending money is an investment in your image and your brand. Just make sure you can afford it and it serves a purpose. Pooh Shiesty's story is already becoming legendary in hip-hop, fam. He's proof that you can find success even at your lowest point. He's proof that smart financial planning can save your life. He's proof that the hustle don't stop just because you're behind bars. Young rappers coming up are watching this story and learning. They're seeing that it's not just about making money, it's about keeping money and growing money. The streets respect Pooh Shiesty more now than they did before he went in. Why? Because he showed he's not just a rapper, he's a businessman. He's not just a street dude, he's a strategist. So let's bring it all home. How did Pooh Shiesty make $10 million in federal prison? He went into prison already sitting on millions of dollars from his Gucci Mane signing, from Back in Blood and all the streaming revenue it generated, from doing shows every week at 6 figures, from charging premium prices for features, and from merchandise sales. That was the foundation, the wealth he had already built before his legal troubles. Then, while he was locked up, his music kept generating millions of streams every single month, bringing in passive income that never stopped. His pops invested his money in real estate, buying rental properties that generated monthly income and appreciated in value. Money was also invested in the stock market, growing steadily over 3 years. Business ventures through Mob Ties Records and other entities provided additional income. Merchandise kept selling as fans showed support, and even his prison recordings generated their own streaming revenue. All of these income streams working together over 3 years added millions of dollars to his wealth. When you combine what he had going in with what he made while locked up, you're talking about a total net worth in the range of $10 million or more. And here's the real kicker, fam. While he was locked up, his music catalog was appreciating in value, his real estate was appreciating, and his brand was growing. So the $10 million figure is actually conservative. The real number could be closer to 12 to 15 million when you factor in everything. Pooh Shiesty's story is one of the wildest rags to riches to prison to even richer tales in recent hip-hop history. Gang, from the Cane Creek projects to buying Ferraris from prison, this young cat showed the world what it means to be a real hustler. His wealth wasn't just about the money, it was about the power, the respect, and the ability to take care of his family and his crew. Even when faced with federal charges and prison time, Pooh Shiesty's financial foundation was strong enough to not only survive, but to thrive. The fact that he could drop hundreds of thousands on cars he couldn't even drive just to prove a point shows you the level of wealth we talking about, homie. This wasn't just rap money, this was generational wealth that was built smart and built to last. As Pooh Shiesty continues his journey back into the music game, one thing is clear: his time in prison didn't break his spirit or his bank account. If anything, it showed the world that his success was real, his money was long, and his story is far from over. He's already back in the studio, working on new music, planning tours, and building his empire even bigger. With the lessons he learned in prison, the wealth he accumulated, and the hunger he has to prove himself, Pooh Shiesty is positioned to become one of the biggest artists in hip-hop. And it all started with a phone call from Gucci Mane, a hit song with Lil Durk, and a hustler mentality that runs in his genes. That's the multi-million-dollar story of Pooh Shiesty, fam. A story of street dreams, overnight success, strategic investments, and the kind of wealth that lets you buy Ferraris from prison just because you're bored. This young cat proved that real hustlers find a way no matter where they at. Whether you in the streets, in the studio, or in a federal prison cell, if you got the right mindset and the right team, you can build an empire. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you think about this wild story. Do you think Pooh Shiesty really made $10 million in prison? What would you do with that kind of money? Drop your thoughts below, gang. And remember, sometimes all it takes is one phone call, one hit song, and one smart investment to change your whole life. Pooh Shiesty did it. The question is, can you? Until next time, keep grinding, keep stacking, and keep building your empire. This is your reminder that success can come from anywhere.